Hello, and welcome back to the RNCmusic channel. It's been a while. My hair's a little longer, it's a little warmer outside, and I've got a new vinyl to show you. I haven't picked it up recently, I've had it for a while. It was actually a Christmas gift from a dear friend, but it's new to you guys. I haven't shown it to you before. Um, so let me get the background music spinning, and let's take a look at this vinyl. Now, before we get into this vinyl, I'll show you what this one is. This is one I did pick up recently for background music purposes. It's called New Sounds in Swing. It's it's a really cheap vinyl, and my impression is that it was used as background music back in the day because it's really flimsy, and most of the stuff on here is, license free from back in the day. So I don't know. It's also a styrene disc. It's not even vinyl. It's styrene, like what they used to make the 45s out of. So no clue. But the vinyl I have on show for you guys today is Neutral Milk Hotel in the Aeroplane Over the Sea. I believe out of all the vinyl I own, I believe this is the newest, as of recording, vinyl I own. Don't quote me on that, but I believe this is. This album was recorded from July through September 1997. It was released February 10th, 1998. It was recorded at Pet Studios in Denver, Colorado, and it was produced by Robert Schneider. Genre for this album is indie rock, psychedelic, folk, lo-fi. However, I would also classify this as a noise rock album as well. Length is about 39:55. Well, I say about, it is exactly 39 minutes and 55 seconds. So it's a bit shorter than some of the other albums that we've taken a look at on this channel. This album only had one single to spawn from it, and that was Holland, 1945. However, the song Ghost off this album has raised some suspicions in later years of whether this was a concept album about Anne Frank, and we will talk about this in a bit. Reception to this album was mostly positive. There were not a whole lot of raving reviews. There were no scathing reviews, but there were no, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s, A pluses, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 stars, nothing like that. Just your overall B pluses, B minuses, 7, 8.5s out of 10, 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. However, over time, this album has created kind of a cult following in the lo-fi kind of community, the lo-fi folk rock community, and has since gone down as one of the most important and influential albums of the 1990s. Now, like I said, we would talk about Ghost. So Ghost, I'm just going to hit the surface on this. Wang actually did a really good video about the whole conspiracy theory about the Anne Frank connection with Ghost. But basically, Jeff Mangum makes a reference to Anne Frank in the song Ghost. The inspiration came to him when he read Anne Frank's diary after a visit to a bookshop. I don't remember where, I think it was somewhere in Colorado, but before a recording session. And he said that it stuck with him for a very long time. As he read the book, he knew what was going to happen, but didn't want to accept it. And so that kind of led him to write Ghost. Now, the rabbit hole goes a little deeper when 4chan starts the time travel theory. Basically, they investigated Jeff's high school yearbook and found I believe his sister, who looks sort of like Anne Frank. And then his wife kind of looks like Anne Frank. And there's a whole lot to go into this theory. Wang did a really good video on it, like I said. So I'll leave his video in the description of this video, so you should really go and check out that video. Now, one of the biggest things for an album is not just the music, but also the album artwork. This is the first thing you see when you pick up a vinyl record, or any record for that, tape or CD or 8-track, But this album cover is actually a modified antique postcard. It would have had a more zoomed out image with other people, but the lady's face has been replaced with a drum head. Some people say it's a potato, but it is a drum head, as stated by the artist's original notes. So it's just a super iconic album cover, and I believe it goes down with the likes of Dark Side of the Moon, Weezer Blue Album, Abbey Road, Nirvana Nevermind, and Marvin Gaye What's Going On. So the greatest album covers of all time. Now, I believe that this album cover really fits and sums up the whole aesthetic of this album. It's old yet new, run down but given new life, dirty, dark, and grimy, yet surprisingly upbeat. And I think the genius behind this artwork is the way that it ties in to the music. So, what are my thoughts? I think this is a brilliant album. It's raw yet produced. It's lo-fi yet surprisingly hi-fi. It is not audiophile, but yes, it is. The clever production of this album makes this album almost unlistenable, but 1,000 times replayable. It is genius the way this album was cut and mastered and recorded. All the sounds and the distortion, but the cleanliness of it all is just mind-bogglingly clean. But all comparisons aside, this is an amazing album. It is really hard for me to put into words about my feelings about this album. I just want you to go and listen to this. It's a superb album. It's something you can't listen to once and completely wrap your head around. You have to listen to it again and again and again and again and find new meaning every time you listen to the album. I think the lyrics are so complex, and that the recording and tracking is so complex that you would need to listen to it tens of times over just to get a complete understanding of this album. But that's all I've got to say about the album. Let's take this copy onto the desk and take a look at it. So here on the desk we have Neutral Milk Hotel in the Aeroplane Odysee. Obviously, that iconic cover I just showed you. Let me take the disc and sleeve out real quick so we can look at the rest of that and not have to really look at that. Yeah. Okay, so if we open it up, you can see we have a similar kind of vintage aesthetic. Yeah, we have lyrics here for all the songs, I think. Yeah. Track listing, the players. But yeah, kind of a Victorian 1920s kind of theme aesthetic for it. Very cool. On the back we have this kind of goofy looking band, I guess you could call it. But like I stated before, this album was given to me by a very dear friend, so I have a pretty deep connection between this album and them. But this is the reissue. I don't know what year this came out, but it is not the original release, and it's not the original re-release. This is the re-release. I don't know. This is the newer copy. Sounds amazing. Looks really good. Super basic. Really all you get in it is the vinyl in this pretty decent plastic sleeve. Vinyl itself, you get a plain pretty much. Center, nothing really too fancy, just says 1 through 7, and then 2, 8 through 9. Pretty much all it is. Since this is a shorter album, the grooves are a little wider, so this has really, really good dynamic range. Really good response on the album. Other than that, it's a really good sounding vinyl. Digital version sounds good, but I think this album shines best on vinyl. So, with that, this has been RNCmusic. And I'm not going to do a playing demo of this, but if you want to listen to it, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, blah, 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 blah. You know the drill. But this has been RNCmusic, and I am out.